Hi everyone! So excited to be back. Happy Tuesday. We are going live today with Yvonne Haase. And we are excited to be here with you. So, just give us a moment. Hola Liz, ¿cómo estás? Hi. Right. Hi Caro. Oi, Elida. Mary.
Hey!
Hi.
I feel like I haven't seen you forever.
I know, I was just thinking that. I was like, wow, it's been so long.
It has. Well, I'm very happy to see you today.
Yes, happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. And it is so close to tequila part of the day. I mean, what time? 6 o'clock, baby. This is rocking and rolling. I love it.
I know, right? So this is new for us, doing like an afternoon
I
kind of
know. I feel
talk.
like I should have worn more makeup or something. Like now we're moving into the night, and I did put on my new lip gloss, so I'm kind of excited. But
Well, I was putting on a little bit of, color on my face, and my husband looks at me and goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm going live in a little bit." He's like, "You're at home. You don't need makeup." I'm like, "Yes, I do. We are going live. I'm gonna be on camera."
and I might not need it, honey, but I want it. Those are two different things.
I don't think they get it.
No, no, I don't think so either. Because my husband's like, why do you? They can't even see you. He's like, and you put on perfume. They're not even near you. I'm like, but I put it on for me because it makes me feel good.
I know. So we've missed you. We miss having the show and talking. And let me tell you, we got some angry or upset people that we were not on for the past few weeks. So we need to get our butt back in schedule.
Well, we didn't. Oh, I guess we did kind of do it on purpose, but we didn't exactly do it on purpose. Just
Not at all.
things pop up. You got to roll with it.
Yes. And I think I'm very excited. So I know we have a little bit of a shorter talk today. So for those of you watching, we will be only 30 minutes. So hang tight, pay attention. If you want to communicate with us, send us questions and we will, touch upon those topics. But I'm very excited that we are talking about burnout.
We are indeed one of my favorite topics.
Okay, I can't believe we haven't brought it up before then.
I know. And maybe it's because I'm feeling it. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it's interesting though, because people are working from home, obviously, and their thing is like, I'm working more hours than I ever did before. And it's crazy. They're like, there's no separation of church and state when you work from home because you can always do one more thing, which turns into 5 more things.
Yeah. I really, Ellie, that we're glad to be back too. And it makes so much sense because before I used to drive about 20 to 25 minutes to get to my gym. I worked out for an hour. Then you kind of chit-chatting for another 5 to 15 minutes or so. And then drive back another 20 to 25 minutes, assuming I don't stop anywhere.
Right.
Because it was right next to the Fresh Market. So that's at least 2 hours out of my day. Tell me now, I've been working since 7:30 this morning. And I still haven't had a chance to barely have lunch, definitely haven't worked out, and there's still 1,000 things to do.
Yeah, I have not eaten yet today. And I have been recording podcast this morning with Dr. King from like 8 o'clock on. And then once that stopped and bam, patience, so it's just been a little bit crazy. But I'm telling you, at this rate, I should lose a pound or 2. I mean, good God, cut this lady a break here.
The scale seems to be going the other way. I'm not understanding.
That thing lies, man. It lies. My office is upstairs. I live in a 2-story home. And the kitchen, thank God, is downstairs. But to run up and down the stairs, like just to get water.
Yeah. That counts as calories, right?
It's got to count as something.
Calories, but yeah, you're burning them.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, look, my kid joined. That's kind of funny. Hey, MC.
Oh,
So Yvonne, tell me, what is burnout?
Okay, so let's definitely talk about burnout. In fact, I put my notes up so that I would not like lose track of what I'm supposed to be doing today. But
We don't
burnout
have too
is,
much time.
I know, burnout is the extinction of motivation or incentive. Okay, especially where there is one's devotion to a cause or a relationship that fails to produce desired results. So it is the absolute distinction of motivation and incentive, right? So it's not just, you know, like sometimes you get Monday grumblies and you're like, oh, I just don't want to today. Even though you work from home, you can still get Monday grumblies. But it's not that. It's like I, I just can't do it. I cannot do this one more day. Like I can't handle it.
Okay. So, yeah. That's a big distinction too, from like that I don't feel like it to I cannot do this anymore.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has days at work where you're just like, you don't feel like doing a staff meeting. You don't feel like calling people. I mean, you might even work one-on-one with people and just not have the energy to do that. Maybe you didn't sleep well. Maybe there's something going on in your personal life. But this is just like, no, I'm not doing it. Like I just physically cannot handle going there one more day.
Okay. So now what are some of the symptoms of being burnt out versus kind of just lazy?
Okay, so being burnt out, you can actually get physical symptoms, stomach aches, headaches, stomach upset like nausea or diarrhea, joint pains, like your body like physically starts to hurt. So you can have physical symptoms. You can have emotional exhaustion. This is like beyond being drained. This is where you get to that point where you don't want to make decisions anymore. You feel like you're not coping well. You don't have the energy to get things handled. So there's emotional. There's reduced performance. Like, so maybe up in your job here, you're like banging it out and you're doing a great job and all of your write-ups are like, you know, super positive. And all of a sudden people are pulling you into the office and saying, are you okay? You know, because you missed this deadline or you turned this in full of errors or you haven't shown up you've been calling in sick, you know, 2 days a week. Like what's going on with you? So it's just complete reduced performance. If you work one-on-one with people, people might start saying to you, you know, I feel like we're in session here, but you're totally disconnected from this session. Like, I feel like you're not even listening to me. Okay. Or if you do body work on somebody, they may pick up that you've got a lot of tension in your body as opposed to helping them alleviate their tension. You know, and then one of the other ones too is that we just alienate ourselves from work-related activities. Like we start ignoring coworkers' phone calls. We start, if your job has a happy hour that you used to love going to, like all of a sudden you're not doing that anymore. If you had, I know a lot of people are working from home, but if you're at an office and normally you would stop by and say hi to your coworkers and kind of chit chat in between work and stuff. And now all of a sudden you're just kind of just going to your office and you just pull away from all of that. Those are really big signs that you are having burnout.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, everything like you, so you've been talking about being burnt out, right? And so does it only happen to like your job or like your career?
No. You can actually be burnt out from relationships. You can be burnt out from your exercise program. You could be burnt out. Maybe you're a caregiver. You know, maybe you have a sick spouse or an elderly parent, you know, something like that, or even a sick child. And you can be 100% burnt out from all of those things. A lot of the symptoms are going to show up the same, right? Like you can have the body aches, the upset stomach, the headaches, the nausea. You can find yourself pulling away from people. You know, I mean, here, if you have a child that you care for and you're burnt out, parents will report, I don't even want to pick my child up right now. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay. Or I'm sick of taking care of my mother or my father. it's weighing down on me and I just physically can't take it anymore. So you can have burnt out from that. You can have burnt out from your workout program. Like, you know, you just can't lift another weight. You can't do this program one more time. And then people say, but I paid for it and I'm committed to it. And I'm like, well, are you committed to the workout or are you committed to your health? Because those are two different things.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, so we can actually get burnt out from just about anything that we do in our lives.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there are reasons that we get burned out, you know?
Okay. I'm going to ask you that.
Yeah. So I should probably wait till you ask me questions before I just.
No, please no. You're just reading my mind. That's not even on mine.
Take over. It's great. No. Well, okay. So let's start with work first. So if you have unreasonable working conditions, it's very easy to get burnt out. People tell me all the time, well, I'm keeping this job because it pays well, but they're being emotionally abused by their boss. This is not okay. Okay. Right. Or I have another client and he can't, even on his days off, his phone blows up from where he works, you know, and they, like no other man, he works in a fast food restaurant. No, and I granted that they're much younger than he is, the employees that are working there, but it's like the owner of the place only has them call him, no other manager. That's unreasonable. Right. That you can't take a day off from your job without having your phone blow up. You know, jobs that have unreasonable time pressures. Now, every job has that moment where I need something done. Like, we've got to handle it, and this is the deadline for this. But when it's constant, that's a lot of pressure for somebody. You know, so if it's constant or it's ridiculous, I'm sorry, I cannot get your whole newspaper or magazine printed in the next 2 days. It's not going to happen when we don't even have the articles turned in yet. Okay, so when we have that placed on people, when people lack clarity in their job position, so you get hired, let's say, as a receptionist, but now they want you to run, you know, documents over to other attorneys' offices, or now they have you editing things. These are things that were never in your job description. I remember my very first job, I worked for a psychiatrist in Miami, and it was a very, and I love him to pieces, and we're still friends to this day. But I remember he said to me one day, he said, can you take this patient to the mental health ward and sign him in? So I was like, now mind you, I'm just there to do billing and answer the phone. Like, those are my jobs. And he said, I have to take in this other patient and he's suicidal and I need you to take him to the mental health ward. I know nothing about the mental health ward. I'm barely even confident that I know where it is. This man is about 6'5" and 300 pounds. And I don't know mentally what's going on with him. And if he bolts from the building and he's going to take his life, I'm pretty certain my 5'4" frame was not going to stop him. Right. So there, when people don't know what their job role is, they can have burnout from that with the job. Okay? And I mean, just you know, just like anything else in life, unfair treatment, you know, when you're being blasted consistently by somebody and other people are allowed to, you know, do other things and they feel like they're getting away with something and that the pressure is always on you. Or of course, if there's something like sexual harassment going on, these are reasons why burnout happens in a job, you know?
So I guess, because sometimes, so let me ask you this. Is there a difference between like being burnt out for something, and most likely I would assume a lot of times you end up being more burnt out from jobs and probably other areas of your life. But being burnt out in a place, like, can you recover from that, or should you just kind of like just end up walking away from it because you're not meant to be there?
Both. Both.
Okay.
Sometimes you're not meant to be there, right? If if I got hired to do a job where I had to sit in front of a computer all day with numbers without human interaction, I'm going to need to walk away from that job because I'm going to hate it. Okay.
I feel like some teachers now that are having to do online teaching might feel that way.
They might.
If it keeps going much longer.
Yeah. You know, I mean, especially if you teach, I mean, it's obviously different for every teacher, but if you teach like the littler kids and you're used to that interaction and teaching them and hands-on and that kind of thing, this computer thing's got to be extremely difficult, you know? But yes, so sometimes you need to have conversations with your boss if it's a job situation and just get clarification. Hey, I'm pretty sure I was hired for this role. I'm not sure why I'm being put into these other categories, but I don't feel like I can handle that. I'm not equipped to do that. Okay. Or if there's harassment of some sort that's going on in your job, or if you feel like the working conditions are unfair, like I'm telling my guy who works in the restaurant that's not getting a break, then you need to literally like go to your HR department. Something needs to change there. Okay. Or if obviously, you know, any type of harassment from somebody, you need to take that up. Right. But you also need to really evaluate, is this a job you signed up for? Are you capable of the job? You know, I mean, if you left me in an editing job, I'm going to turn in work to you that looks like, I don't know, your 5-year-old edited it for you because that's not my jam and I'm not good at it. Okay. Yep. So I would have to recognize that, you know what, Yvonne, you're good at a lot of things. This is not one of them. But sometimes too, we need to set better boundaries. You know, people who go away on vacation and are still answering tons of work calls and didn't tell everybody like that they're going on vacation and that if there's an emergency, here's who you contact, and then stay with that as you're on vacation, well, then you're not on vacation. I remember when your Miami chapter was opening.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. When I went to New Orleans, and your Miami chapter for Suits, Stilettos, and Lipstick Foundation was opening, and the then president was calling me because, not her fault, mine. I didn't tell her that I was on vacation. And so I said to her, because I kept losing connection, and I'm answering her questions, and she says, where are you that you have such bad connection? I said, well, honestly, I'm in a bar in New Orleans. And she's like, well, why are you at a bar in New Orleans? I said, because I'm on vacation. She literally said to me, I am hanging up on you and not calling you back. I will talk to somebody else and click. All right. So Jennifer, she totally hung up on me. I mean, it was hilarious, but she was right. You know, right. I wasn't setting that. So you have to completely set those boundaries. And sometimes you have to take some time off. People don't use their sick days. They don't use their PTO if you have it. If you own your own company, you got Jack. But, you know. Can
I get some of those, please?
I know, right? I said to my husband, I said, I'm going to cash in on some vacation hours in December. And he's like, you have vacation hours? I said, nope, but I'm making them up. And I do now. But, you know, if you have this time to use it. I thought it was interesting. There's a woman who does motivational kind of stuff. She's in that industry and she's very famous. And her company, when they hire you, you get unlimited paid vacation. So if you wanted to take a month off, you could take a month off and be paid. She said that even with that, she can't get people to take it. She has to tell them, you're not coming to work tomorrow. You're on vacation. Get out.
Wow.
Right? We're in a place right now, I think too, especially with COVID being, you know, a factor obviously for people, that we are afraid of losing our jobs. So we don't put those boundaries in place and we don't take that time.
That's true.
Yeah. And then the rest is really the same thing that you got to do for everything. Try eating right, exercising, and sleeping.
Why would we do that?
I know. I don't know. Not because it makes the scale move. That we don't do it for that reason.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So it's you have to have those factors in place, because a lot of times if people can really, like, if you have a Monday through Friday kind of job and you can really disconnect on the weekends and not be overrun by your job, and you get exercise in and you get extra sleep in on the weekend, or you get extra cuddles from your kids, or you get, time with the spouse or family or whatever, or friends, that's enough to recharge most people.
Now, would you say that like someone who has that kind of a job, or even if it's not a Monday to Friday, but that they get 1 or 2 days a week where they really get to disconnect, right? And they get time with their families, friends, and recharge the batteries, and yet you're still feeling burnt out, that would pretty much be a sign to say, hey, maybe go look at doing something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Maybe you also can love what you do, but be burnt out with the company you work with, right? Or maybe you need a new position. Or, if you do one-on-one work with people, maybe you're seeing too many high-stress patients. I mean, it's a huge possibility. So maybe you're not going to shift the entire job, but maybe you shift parts of the job. Or for all the ladies listening out there, there's this amazing word that I know you're not good at, because neither am I, but maybe you can delegate some of that shit. Just putting it out there, honestly. Like, maybe you don't have to do every loving piece of it.
Who do you think you're talking to?
I don't know.
Women don't know how to do that. Most women, let me rephrase. And the ones that do most likely don't feel burnt out.
Right. Exactly. Because they've got a team of people that, work with them and work well with them. And I'm not talking about like you've got a new hire somebody and, they're learning the ropes and whatever, that you need to delegate everything off to them, and then you're all burnt out because they didn't do it right. Well, you got to be reasonable.
Right, of course.
But it's also something, honestly, guys, take a look at in your relationships. Like in your downtime, if you're feeling burnt out, you've got to start taking a look at your social interactions, and what you're doing and the people that you're hanging out with.
Well, the ones that we're this social distancing hanging out with now, right?
Yeah, of course. However you're handling it. I'm handling it via computer, just like everybody else. But I know a lot of people are over it and they're out connecting and they're doing what they're doing. But yeah, you've got to take a look at, and that includes our spouse. And sometimes for the parents out there, you can be feeling burnt out from being a parent. If you're parenting, especially, people like to make fun of the stay-at-home parents, but I'll tell you, there's a reason that I don't do it. It's because it's hard. It was a lot easier for me to say, I love you, baby, and I go off for 8 hours a day, and then I come back and I love them even more, because distance makes the heart grow fonder, right? But this 24/7 thankless job of being a stay-at-home parent, you have got to take breaks from your child. And especially for all you first-time parents who are like, oh no, I feel so guilty if I'm not with them all the time. No, that is not how the world works. Okay. You will reach a point where you are so resentful of that child and your role that there's harm that comes from that. This is how babies get shaken. Yeah. So it's okay to reach out for support, even as a stay-at-home parent, who's, by the way, got a ridiculously difficult job.
Right? A full-time job.
Yeah.
Well, what I've noticed, like now from working from home and just talking to different people in different situations, where it's, like you said, there's no separation, right? Like you're either working or you're home, and really taking that time off, saying, okay, I'm done with work. Now I'm going to I enjoy cooking, for example. So I'm going to cook versus having my laptop in the kitchen answering an email while I'm cooking and chopping up things, which I was doing a lot. It becomes overwhelming because you never feel like you're done working. You never
Right.
feel like you're taking downtime. You never feel like you're enjoying your spouse. So you're doing a little bit of everything. So you kind of feel like you are, but then you're also doing a lot of everything. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you never
Yeah.
stop. So you don't ever stop working, but you're resentful for work, but then you're resentful for, not really having time off, and it gets very complicated.
It does get very complicated.
Yeah.
And most people will say to me, yeah, the job creates a lot of burnout, but the income is worth it. No, it's not.
Never.
The amount of money that you make does not prevent you from getting burnout. In fact, there are many studies that show that people will actually perform more and work harder for verbal praise and acknowledgement than they will for money.
I believe that. People want to feel appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah. And listen, guys, if you own a company, your job as the owner of a business, if you have employees working under you, is to make those employees feel highly appreciated, to check in with them and make sure that they're not taking on too much, or that they're not overworked and exhausted. Or if you notice you've had this employee for 3 years who has never taken a vacation, maybe it's time to tell them, you can't come to work tomorrow. You've got to go on vacation. This is crazy. But to acknowledge them, because you're creating the culture of a business that's going to create whether or not somebody experiences burnout.
So the better they feel, the more they're going to produce. And it's not just, it's a lot of times you can do more in less time if you feel good, if you're 100%, if you're at your peak, if you're refreshed, if you're not burned out.
Yeah, it's funny. I noticed that if I take Sundays off and I'm just totally chilling on Sunday, the only thing I do on Sunday is I create my to-do list for Monday so that it's out of my head and I know I have a plan for the morning. When I get up in the morning and start ticking off that to-do list, it goes like this. But if I ended up, and I only do it to myself because I am my own business, right? So if I ended up on Sunday handling tons of paperwork and working and being upset by it, when Monday rolls around, that to-do list takes me forever.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to.
Exactly. And you kind of have to, but you don't have to because you're your own boss.
That's right. But I was also my own boss on Sunday who put herself to work instead of saying, you know what, Yvonne, take your day off.
Yeah. But you know what? How many Sundays, and if this has ever happened to you, where I actually take all of Sunday off, halfway through Sunday, I'll start feeling guilty because I know how much stuff there is to do. And now I'm like, no, you're going to enjoy doing nothing. Like some days I won't even walk in here, like into my office. There's like other things that you can kind of do past the house, like the laundry room is over there. I might say I'm not even going to do any laundry on Sunday because I don't want to walk through the office and not think about it.
Yep.
You just take that day off.
Yeah. And until you really start practicing it, or you start thinking of it as a way to protect your health, which is huge, that you will suffer guilt for it. And I would be up at 3:00 in the morning, Tati, because I forgot to pay the kids their allowance on Sunday. I'm like, oh, I got to write that down. No, I don't. I don't have to do that, right? But I'm up. And now that I'm up, I'm like, oh, and on this on my to-do list and that on my to-do. I took my to-do list off my phone. I actually put it back on paper because you can't light up your paper to start typing into it, at 3:00 in the morning and keep yourself up. But that guilt is what causes that wake-up call.
I think we should, one of these weeks, touch upon that because so many people, when you said that 3 a.m. wake-up call, too many of us wake up at 3 a.m. with different, and then find different solutions to going back to sleep, whether it's Amazon shopping, not pointing fingers at anyone here, or, messaging a friend on Facebook or getting the guilt trip, writing a to-do list. Why do we get up at 3 in the morning? I mean, we're not going to talk about that now because we don't have enough time,
Yeah.
but
we will
that
definitely
is
make that a point, because I always tell people, because I'll say, and so then you're up at 3 in the morning, and they're like, how do you know? And I said, well, honey, if they write a meme about it, it must happen to more than you.
Yes.
It's the way social media works. If that's in a meme, it's happening to an awful lot of people. For sure. For sure. But I think, you know, that we all, just to sort of sum up today, even when we're working from home, don't think that you can't be burnt out, because you absolutely can. You absolutely can be burnt out from your job working from home. So it is definitely something to consider, and also to look around at your relationships, because if you're caregiving, if you've got sick people in your world, if you're in a bad relationship, all of these things can also create a form of burnout, for sure.
And boundaries being the first thing to do, right? To kind of recover from that.
Yep. Boundaries aren't hard, folks. They're just uncomfortable. That's a difference.
We'll let you live with that one.
Awesome.
Yvonne, thank you. It was so nice to see you again. We will be back next week.
We will.
Yes.
We'll figure out the time and all of that good stuff, but we will definitely be back, and we'll be back weekly.
Enjoy your Tequila Tuesday.
Enjoy, everybody. Take good care.
Bye.
Bye.